Let me tell you something that nobody is going to say to you today, and it might be the most important thing you hear all year. Most people are not failing because they are not talented. Most people are not failing because they don't have enough money, enough time, or enough connections. Most people are failing because every single morning they wake up, look at their goals, and then choose comfort over action. And that one decision, that tiny, silent, invisible decision to stay still, is slowly killing every dream they ever had. So if you are watching this right now and you feel stuck, if you feel like you know what you need to do, but you just can't make yourself do it, I want you to stop everything and listen carefully because what I am about to tell you is going to change the way you think about yourself, your goals, and your entire life. Here is the brutal truth. Action is not something that comes naturally to human beings. Our brains are literally wired to avoid effort, to avoid discomfort, to protect us from anything that feels hard or uncertain. This is not a character flaw. This is biology. This is evolution. For thousands of years, the humans who survived were the ones who conserved energy, who stayed safe, who avoided unnecessary risk. But you are not living in that world anymore. You are living in a world where your survival is not threatened by lions and storms. Your survival is threatened by your own hesitation. Your future is being destroyed not by your enemies, but by your own biology that tells you every morning, wait, rest, do it tomorrow. You're tired. You're not ready yet. And the most dangerous word in the human language is not hate. It is not failure. And the most dangerous word is tomorrow. Tomorrow I will start. Tomorrow I will go to the gym. Tomorrow I will work on my business. Tomorrow I will have that difficult conversation. Tomorrow I will begin writing that book. Tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. And you know what tomorrow really is? Tomorrow is a beautiful lie that your brain tells you today so that you never have to feel uncomfortable right now. Every person who has ever failed at something, every person who has ever watched their dreams slowly fade away, they didn't fail all at once. They failed one tomorrow at a time. They failed one postponed decision at a time. They failed one comfortable evening at a time when they chose Netflix over their notebook, scrolling over studying, sleeping over starting. I want you to understand something deeply. The version of you that achieves your goals does not wait to feel motivated. That version of you does not wait for the right time, the right mood, the right season. That version of you has learned one of the most powerful lessons in all of human psychology. That action comes before motivation, not after. Read that again. Action comes before motivation. We have been taught our whole lives that you first get motivated and then you take action. But that is completely backwards. That is why millions of people sit around waiting to feel inspired and nothing ever changes. The real sequence is this. You take action first, even small action, even imperfect action, and then the motivation follows. The brain does not give you energy before the work. It gives you energy during the work and after the work. But you have to start. You have to move first. Think about it this way. Have you ever not wanted to go to the gym, but you forced yourself to go anyway, and by the time you finished the workout, you felt incredible, you felt proud, you felt alive? That feeling did not come before you went. It came because you went. Have you ever not wanted to study, but you opened the book anyway and told yourself just 5 minutes, and then an hour passed and you were deep in focus mode and the work was flowing? That flow did not come before you opened the book. It came because you opened the book. This is the secret that high performers understand and average people never discover. You do not wait for the feeling. You create the feeling through the action. Now let's talk about the real enemy, because I do not want you to think the enemy is laziness. Calling yourself lazy is too simple and it lets you off the hook. The real enemy is a thing called resistance. Stephen Pressfield, one of the greatest writers on the subject of creative and personal work, described resistance as an invisible force that rises up every single time you try to move towards something meaningful. Every time you try to grow, every time you try to create, every time you try to change, resistance shows up. And the more important something is to your life, the stronger the resistance will be. This is why your most important goal feels the heaviest to start. This is why the gym feels impossibly far when you are trying to change your health. This is why the business idea stays in your head and never gets onto paper. Resistance is not a sign that something is wrong. Resistance is a sign that something is right, that this thing matters, that your soul is trying to grow and your fear is trying to stop it. So how do you fight resistance? You do not fight it with willpower. Willpower is a limited resource. Every person who has tried to build a new life on willpower alone has eventually failed because willpower runs out. You fight resistance with systems, with habits, with environment design, with identity. Let me explain each one of these because this is where everything changes. A system is a set process that removes the need for a daily decision. When you have to decide every morning whether to work out, your brain will find 1,000 reasons not to. But when working out at 6 a.m. is simply what you do, the same way you brush your teeth, the decision is already made. You do not decide to brush your teeth every morning. You just do it. That is the power of a system. The goal is to make your most important actions automatic so that resistance has no room to negotiate with you. Habits are the foundation of everything. Every major life achievement you have ever admired in another person was built on invisible daily habits that nobody saw. The fit person did not get fit from one workout. The successful entrepreneur did not build their company from one meeting. The great writer did not produce a masterpiece from one afternoon of writing. They showed up every day, often without applause, often without results visible to the outside world, and they stacked habit upon habit upon habit until those habits produced something extraordinary. James Clear, who wrote one of the most important books of our generation, described it perfectly. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Your goals are the vision, but your habits are the vehicle. Without the vehicle, the destination is just a dream on a wall. Now let's talk about something that nobody tells you about goals. Most people set goals in a way that is designed to fail. They set massive, vague goals like I want to be rich, or I want to be fit, or I want to be successful. And then they wake up every morning with no clear action to take because the goal is so big and so distant that any single action feels meaningless. This is why people give up, not because they are weak, but because they cannot see the connection between today's small action and tomorrow's big outcome. So here is what you must do. You must shrink the goal until it becomes an action. Not, I want to write a book. Instead, I will write 200 words today. Not, I want to get fit. Instead, I will do 15 minutes of exercise today. Not, I want to grow my business. Instead, I will contact 3 potential clients today. The goal gives you direction, but the daily action gives you movement. And it is movement, not planning, not dreaming, not talking, that changes lives. Let me tell you something about discipline that will completely reshape how you think about it. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is not forcing yourself to suffer. Discipline is not waking up at 4 a.m. and suffering through a cold shower to prove your worth. Discipline is simply choosing your future self over your present self. That is it. Every time you take action when you don't feel like it, you are making a vote for the person you want to become. And every time you avoid action, every time you choose comfort and delay, you are making a vote for the old version of you, the stuck version, the version that is going nowhere. Discipline is a form of self-love so deep and so real that it refuses to let you settle for less than what you are capable of. Let me ask you something. If your best friend came to you and said, I have a dream, I have a goal, I know what I need to do, but I just keep putting it off, I just keep delaying, I just keep choosing the easy path, what would you say to them? You would encourage them. You would believe in them. You would remind them of their potential. You would push them forward. But when it comes to yourself, you are your own harshest critic and your own most enabling voice. You talk yourself out of things no one else would talk you out of. You give yourself permission to stop that no one else would give you. You are the one standing in your own way, and the most powerful shift you can make is to become your own coach instead of your own excuses. Start treating yourself with the same belief, the same encouragement, the same patience that you would offer someone you love deeply. Now I want to address the identity piece because this is the deepest and most transformative part of the whole conversation. Your behavior follows your identity. Every single day, you act in ways that are consistent with who you believe you are. If you believe you are someone who is lazy, you will act lazy. If you believe you are someone who is not disciplined, you will be undisciplined. If you believe success is for other people and not for you, then you will unconsciously sabotage every opportunity that comes your way. So the question is not just, what do I need to do? The question is, who do I need to become? Because when you shift your identity, your actions shift automatically. When you start saying, I am someone who takes action every day, and more importantly, when you start proving it to yourself through small actions, your brain begins to believe it. And a brain that believes it is the identity of a disciplined, goal-achieving person will find ways to support that identity every day. This is why the small wins are so critical. Every time you do the thing you said you would do, even if it is tiny, even if nobody sees it, you are depositing into the bank of self-trust. And self-trust is the most powerful currency you will ever build. It is more powerful than money, more powerful than talent, more powerful than opportunity. Because when you trust yourself, when you know that if you say you will do something, you will actually do it, nothing in the world can stop you. Opportunities stop feeling overwhelming because you trust yourself to handle them. Challenges stop feeling impossible because you trust yourself to figure them out. And fear, which once paralyzed you, becomes something you walk toward because you trust that your actions will take you where your faith is pointing. I want to talk about the people who are watching this and thinking, I've tried this before. I've set goals before. I've made plans before. I've started before and I've failed every time. If that's you, I need you to hear this. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is part of success. Every single person you admire who has built something extraordinary, who has created something meaningful, who has transformed their body, their finances, their relationships, every one of them has a long, messy, ugly history of attempts that didn't work. The difference between them and someone who stays stuck is not that they never failed. The difference is that they treated failure as feedback, not as a verdict. They failed, they learned, they adjusted, they tried again, and they kept doing that until something worked. The person who gives up after failure is not weaker than the person who continues. They simply haven't decided yet that the goal is worth the discomfort of failing toward it. So let me ask you directly, is your goal worth it? Is the life you want worth the discomfort of starting? Is the body you want worth the discomfort of training? Is the financial freedom you want worth the discomfort of building? Is the relationship you want worth the discomfort of becoming the person who deserves that relationship? Because every good thing in life exists on the other side of discomfort. Not suffering, not pain for the sake of pain, but the specific discomfort of growth, the tension of becoming, the feeling of doing something you have never done before and not knowing exactly how it will turn out. That discomfort is not your enemy. That discomfort is the price of admission for the life you actually want to live. Here's something practical I want to give you before we go any further. Right now, today, I want you to identify the one thing, the single most important action, that if you did it consistently every day, would change your life the most. Not 10 things, not a list, one thing. And I want you to commit to doing that one thing every single day for the next 30 days, no matter what. Not when you feel like it, not when conditions are perfect, every day, rain or shine, tired or energized, motivated or empty, you do the thing. And at the end of 30 days, I promise you will not recognize yourself, not because the results will be visible to the world yet, but because you will have proven to yourself that you are the kind of person who does not quit. And that internal shift is worth more than any external result you could have achieved in 30 days. Let's talk about your environment, because your environment is either your greatest ally or your greatest enemy, and most people never think about this. If your phone is full of social media apps and it is the first thing you reach for in the morning, your environment is working against you. If your workspace is cluttered and disorganized, your environment is working against you. If the people around you are comfortable with mediocrity, with excuses, with small dreams, your environment is working against you. But here is the good news. You can redesign your environment. You can put your phone across the room at night so your alarm forces you to get up. You can clear your desk so the only thing in front of you is your most important work. You can seek out people who are doing more than you, who challenge you, who make you feel like you need to level up just to keep up. You don't need to find the perfect environment. You need to build the environment that makes your daily action the path of least resistance. Now I want to talk about time, because I hear this excuse more than any other. I don't have time. And I say this with love and with full respect. Like, if you believe you don't have time, you are not being honest with yourself. Because every person on this planet gets the same 24 hours. The president of a country gets 24 hours. The CEO of a global company gets 24 hours. The person who built something from nothing, who changed their life completely, who went from zero to something real, they all had 24 hours. The question is not whether you have time. The question is what you are choosing to do with your time. If you spend 3 hours a day on social media, you have time. If you spend 2 hours watching television every evening, you have time. The issue is not time. The issue is priority. And priority is a decision. It is a decision you make every single day about what matters enough to you to protect. I want to tell you a story. There was a man, a completely ordinary man, who wanted to run a marathon. He had never run more than a mile in his life. He was overweight, out of shape, and everyone in his life thought he was crazy for even thinking about it. On the first day, he went outside and ran to the end of his street and came back. That was it. 1 block. He did the same thing the next day, and the day after that. Some days he ran a little farther. Some days he just ran the block. But he showed up every single day. 12 months later, he crossed the finish line of a marathon. Not because he was special, not because he had more talent than you, because he decided that showing up every day, no matter how small the action, was more important than waiting until he was ready to do it all at once. That story is your story. It can be your story. The only question is whether you will start today or whether you will give yourself another tomorrow. Here's what I know about you, even though I have never met you. You have something you want to build. You have something you know you are capable of. You have a version of your life that you can see in your mind, clearer on some days, hazier on others, but it is there, and you feel the distance between where you are and where you want to be. And sometimes that distance feels so great that it is almost easier not to look at it. But that vision is not there to torture you. That vision is there because it is possible for you. If it were not possible, you would not be able to imagine it. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is not proof that you cannot make it. It is proof that there is something worth moving toward. The action you take today will not look impressive. Nobody is going to give you a standing ovation for writing 200 words or doing 15 minutes of exercise or sending one email toward your dream. The world does not celebrate the beginning. The world only sees the finish line. But you must learn to celebrate the beginning, to celebrate the process, to celebrate every single day that you chose action over comfort, movement over stillness, growth over safety. Because those days are the real achievement. Those days are the bricks that build the wall. And one day you will look at what you have built and you will trace it back, not to one big dramatic moment, but to all those small daily decisions that nobody saw. The early mornings, the late nights, the moments when you were tired and uncertain and afraid and you showed up anyway. Let me say this one more time before we close because I want it to land in the deepest part of who you are. You are not stuck because you are incapable. You are stuck because you have not yet made the full, unconditional, no exceptions decision to move. Motivation is a guest that visits occasionally. Discipline is a host that lives with you permanently. And when you build that discipline, when you make action non-negotiable, when your daily work becomes as automatic as breathing, that is when everything changes. That is when you stop hoping things will get better and you start making them better. That is when you stop asking if you can and you start proving that you will. That is when you stop living in the life you ended up with and you start building the life you chose. So I want you to close this video. And before you do one single other thing, I want you to take one action toward your goal. Not tomorrow, not after dinner, not after one more video. Right now. Write the first sentence of that book. Send that message you have been afraid to send. Open the app and plan your first workout. Do the one thing your future self will thank you for tonight when you lay down and you actually know that today you moved, today you chose, today you acted, because that is who you are becoming. That is who you already are the moment you decided. And the only way to prove it to yourself, the only way to build the life you deserve is to force yourself, love yourself enough to take action daily, every day, until the life you want is the life you are living.